All I can fucking say for this episode of Arc V is that you got owned by a level 1 0 attack point monster. You must want to kill yourself right now, Shingo, because you just got your ass handed to you royally by you. Now I gotta say with this episode, like it starts off pretty strong, we see like Yuya, he survives from the attack from like all of them by using his water spider's effect, which is to negate an attack. Which I like that effect, and also it changes itself to defense position. Although there's no real point that you would have this card in like attack position anyway, because I think it has like 400 attack points. So why would you ever have it like that? I'm still going by the theory that okay, these cards they have to move around, they have to use be in attack position. That's what I'm going with at the moment. I can't really, but it seems like as well for this episode that anyone can pendulum summon. It seems as long as they got the pendulum cards. And one thing I definitely noticed in this episode that Yuya seems to have. I'm guessing like when that pendulum around his neck, the little necklace, reacted. I guess that turned some of his cards into pendulum monsters because I definitely noticed as well that the Kalio Scorpion, not to mention the Flip Frog as well, they were both pendulum cards. I couldn't help but notice that in there. So then maybe there's going to be something worthwhile of these cards. I'm very interested in what else, like, the Galio Scorpion's effect is, and also, well, the Flip Frog, because they're both treated as magic cards that we found out that they're treated as magic cards. So I want to know if they're just treated as pure magic cards, though, because I asked this, like, last week with the episode, if they're treated as magic cards, but are they treated as continuous, or just plain pure magic cards? That's what I'm wondering right now with what's happening with these cards right now. I find it very interesting because you could use these cards, to use continuous summon. I mean, I know it's an old card, but say like, could you use two of those pendulum cards and one continuous card on the field and summon a card like Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder? Could you do something like that? That's one thing I'm curious about. And definitely in this episode, you see as well that Yuya uses one of those cards that he actually got thrown away by Shingo. He was saying, yeah, this is a trash card, and it's Block Spider, which its effect is actually quite an interesting way to see. Yeah, this card, as long as it's like in this position, you cannot attack anything else but this card. But he used this spell card that he had called Mimi Clay, which copies the monster's effects and the monster's name and attack and all of it. I was surprised by that, like this card. It was actually a lot of the times it doesn't only copy effects as well. So that sounds like Mimi Clay can be a quite overpowered card when you think about it, when it's used at the right moments. And I'm thinking as well, I'm not sure if this card can attack or not, like if with the Mimi Clay. We'll have to see about that. But using the two pendulums, he as negating them, he actually stops the Mimi Clay's effect, which gets rid of these two pendulum cards, pretty much rendering them useless at this point. Which is like, yeah, I guess that makes no point for him using that if he hasn't got no cards in his hand. But using this card draw muscle to increase Block Spider's defense by 2300 by using the Kalio Scorpion, and like I said, that was a pendulum monster, and it was like a level 5, level 6. So, and as well as Kalio Scorpion's effects, which we'll get a little bit more into later on, very interesting effect that has. And with this, he gets his pendulum cards back by using a card known as Empty Fishing, that you're allowed to target two cards on the field that are negated, and you're allowed to add them to your hand. So he managed to get his two pendulum cards, his ace monsters, that it seems like, because his ace monsters are Odd Eyes and these two Chromancy and Astromancy magicians like that. From what we see, like after they get these cards out, we see that with Kalio Scorpion's effect, because he was able to get this out, and by the way, with the Empty Fishing, I believe that also with half damage was to save Yuya. We see that he actually summons it. I believe he summons the Kalio Scorpion, Flip Toad, and I believe the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. And with this, there's actually kind of interesting ability that the Kalio Scorpion has. It's like, for how many monsters that are pendulum summoned, and if you have a pendulum monster yourself on the side of the field, then you're able to make monsters, or you're just allowed to attack that many times as that one designated. So say like, if it's a good way to balance it if you have a Kalio Scorpion. So say like, oh, your entire like opponent's special summon like 5 monsters, regardless they're not good or not, like that. And then you can just bring out an Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and then just attack all of them. And with the Kalio Scorpion, it's interesting because it seems like what Arc V is trying to do is that they're trying to really integrate this pendulum system, but they're also trying to make flaws in it as well. So say, this is what happens if you pendulum summon, and here's a pendulum monster that can fuck you up. if you try and pendulum summon like too much or get cocky with it. That's kind of what I got from that, and I found that kind of interesting. Not to mention, like with this card, he was able to like reduce Shingo's life points to like 1200 because of the old eyes pendulum's effect. And what I liked is like how he just like controlled him by using Flip Toe's effect. He can change a monster's defense and attack, and actually gets half of that attack points from the defense. That was kind of interesting. He used 1200 and he fucked him up. But you know, Shingo wasn't happy with this. He was like, I'm gonna steal these cards. You know, these are all mine. And what we see is that this guy named Shuin, I think his name was Shuin Sora. I know his definitely not last name was Sora. Wants to be a part of Yu Yu's apprentice and stops them from stealing the pendulum cards. He seems to be on some fast ninja shit, and it was an enjoyable episode. What I like the most about Arc V, definitely the most favorite thing about it, is that it's so chill. It's so enjoyable and it's fun to talk about. I actually, it brings me back to that old feeling with Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like it's very goofy, it's very childish, but it's fun. It's childish, good fun. I enjoy it, for what it is, and it just reminds me that with Yuya, you don't need a serious character in every series. You can have those serious, you can have a strong-willed, badass character. You can have a depressing character. You can have someone you can relate to, but I feel like time to time you need to have one of those jokey characters. I mean, not to the extremes, Sakata Gintogi from Gintama or something like that. But I feel like one that can keep you entertained, one that's lively and active, and it's a nice, interesting twist. I feel for Arc V to bring a character because a lot of the characters, apart from Jaden, was called. The rest of them were like pretty down to earth and pretty serious. You had Yugi, you had like Yusei. I mean, Yuya, we don't is very chill. And let's just not talk about Yuma himself. Like Yuma was just, but it's overall, I enjoyed this episode. It was chill, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And yeah, another props to the translators actually getting this out a day afterwards. I really think that's good of them. They're actually really trying with Arc V. I know there's still some ZL episodes that still need to be translated, so it can change either way. But I think there's about like 2 or 3 translating groups working on Arc V, so they definitely want to try and not do the same thing they did with ZL and ZL2. But really enjoy that episode. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think I'll give this episode for the whole Shingo fight. I'd give it like a solid 7.5, like 7 out of 10. It was a really enjoyable duel, and it had some very interesting part. We're going to add more into the hopefully the pendulum summoning system. But that's all from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. As always, remember, I'll see you guys